Gossip Talk Show's family is Mamsa here at Gossip Talk Show's Find Your Own Voice, lead from within. So with me today, I'm with Carol Ann Cooper, Shireen Lovegrove, and Kamau Emma. How are you guys?
Great, thank
All
you.
good, all good.
Well, thank you. Yeah. And yourself?
I'm very well, thank you. Just cold in the UK today. It's raining and miserable.
The usual.
So, our topic today is health versus toxic texting transforming family communications. So, texting has become an integral part of family communications, offering convenience and immediacy. However, the way we text can either strengthen or strain family relationship, depending on whether our messaging habits are healthy or toxic. Carol Ann, you chose this topic. What was going on?
What's going on is what's happening in our dating diamonds texting. That's what prompted. It's the way things can get taken out of context or people respond really quickly. And I just feel there's something happening that's actually causing a split and tension to happen. And it's texting. There's also voice messages as well, which are adding to it. And so I just thought it might be a great topic to actually explore as to how can, if it's felt that it's, what's the word, pushing everyone apart and creating miscommunication, how could it be transformed? How could it bring us back together again? And in what ways does texting, they say there's toxic texting, there's healthy texting. What's the difference? What makes one healthy? What makes one toxic? So, yeah, I just thought it'd be a great topic to explore. So that's where it came from. Oh,
Yeah.
Kamau, Shireen?
Yeah, I hadn't heard of the form as toxic texting, but I
Me too.
but I did look online to go and have a check out on things because we like to kind of label a lot of things in different ways. But I suppose what was really interesting is it is a new form of communication for people. And it does have a really strange way of dissociating us from actually contacting or speaking to someone. So some people, like me, old school, will text like I think and like I would write an email maybe. So I tend to put things in and I don't leave out words and I don't do that. So for people that are younger and they use a lot of abbreviations, it kind of separates intergenerationally quite dramatically. But one of the things that's really got me when I thought about this is the amount of miscommunication that often happens with texting, because there is this space between you that isn't, because we have language on so many different ways, right? And speaking to someone is so much easier than actually often texting. So when I sort of looked at this idea of toxic testing, I kind of remembered an incident where I was kind of felt really threatened with the texting, and someone kept trying to push their idea on me, and I was going, no, you're not reading my texts. Basically, you're just jumping out and just constantly responding to something, but you're not really thinking about what I've actually said in the text. So it made me think about how we have this kind of coercive control, like in normal communication, but how this can be really quite intrusive when people text and they don't wait. So there's an expectation about texting that if we text, we expect a reply very quickly. So there's something about that. And also about the kinds of questions we think we can ask on text. And, one of the things which I was also thinking about is how many young people are really put into controlling situations by sexting. So these things have started to really unravel for me. And it's such a big topic. It's such a big topic. And we can go into the minutiae of each of them. And, so, yeah. the thing is, if you've got your words out there, they can always be misconstrued. So pay attention.
Definitely, definitely. And I like that. I like that you both spoke about the commodity of the current texting these days, and how it has become more of a convenience to ease things and make things go faster. And you've also pointed out the misunderstandings and conflicts that arise from it, especially like you were mentioning, Shireen. We just tend to say what's on our mind and expect people to understand what we mean straight away. I mean, if we're texting each other, that won't be a problem because we kind of know how we think and what we mean by saying stuff. So if I were to text something that I would text to another person that they would construe as mean or unnecessary, you would understand it straight away as, okay, banter, or as a form of questioning something, right? So with people that understand their own communication pattern and how they communicate in a daily basis, or sarcastically, or in certain ways, that shouldn't be a problem. But texting with new lovers, new people that we're getting to know, it becomes quite difficult, right? Because there's a thin line between what we consider healthy and toxic when it comes to texting. And the lack, of course, of understanding the emotions and the needs behind the text that is being sent. I would put it in a sense that, especially when you're dating and in the very first stages, you can be flirty, you can be sarcastic. Once you've gone through that phase of a first, second date and you understand each other, you know, okay, I use a lot of sarcasm, I joke a lot, I still present a certain level of respect in certain messages, right? And one of the healthy ways, obviously, is to, when you start texting, it's to foster that the clarity of our words, emotional support if we need it, and we could think of it as a promotional way to enhance the relationship, by connecting each other's understanding, I think. And like you were mentioning as well, fast, reactive, passive aggressive answers can very much lead to confusion and misunderstanding. So I'm definitely on with you, Caroline, and Shireen, when we're talking about this. I mean, it also involves a lot of mutual respect and mindfulness to what we're saying and how we're setting the boundaries. And in families, it's a little bit different. It becomes a little bit different. Like my son, he just turned 10 today, and I'm saying it live, happy birthday, Noah. So one day you'll see it. We text each other almost every day. And he texts me in the morning, good morning, Dad. Like we've gotten into a habit of reading 10 pages per day. So he texts me, I read 5 pages this morning. I'll read 5 in the evening. I hope you have a lovely day. He sends me memes. Sometimes he sends me videos that he finds funny or interesting, and I answer back with what I see, what I perceive. And so that kind of communication, especially with children, I consider something healthy because it fosters something new, something that we didn't have with our parents, right? We couldn't text and say, hey, miss you, love you, or whatever, or here, watch this video. It wasn't the case back then. And so it creates a different level of relationship, of bond, and yet we still have to maintain that parenthood level of, okay, be aware of what you're saying, that not controlling, but just adjusting certain wordings sometimes. So yeah, I'm there. This is what I'm thinking so far as the introduction, and based on what you, Shireen, and Caroline have said so far.
I like what you guys said about having clarity. For me, I think, like Kamal, you say, using text for your, with your son, which is a very healthy and stuff. For me, I don't text. I've learned this the hard way. When it comes to my clients, I don't text them. I only text when I'm letting them what time I'm available to speak to them over the phone. Because sometimes the text can cause confusion. And it's them that taught me not to text people sometimes. Because they'll meet the guy. If I match them with the guy, and they'll meet the guy, and then they'll forward me a text, Nomsa, what does this text mean? I'm like, it means what it says. But that person has translated it in a different way. I'm like, no, the guy says, I'm not available right now, but I'll speak to you later when I'm finished the meeting. So you'll find the lady will be like, he doesn't want to talk to me. I'm like, no, he says, I am busy right now. I'm going to speak to you when I'm finished the meeting. He never said, I don't want to speak to you. And then I'm like, can you go and do what you got to do, please? So this person will go and do what they're doing. And the guy calls back, and then the woman calls me back, or the man calls back and say, oh, yeah, she was busy. I'm like, yes, that's what the text said. It did not say anything. But sometimes the people translate things how they want, and you can't change that. I've learned that with my clients, and I've learned that with people that follow me on Facebook. When they're going on dates, they will be like, text me and say, no, sir. Or sometimes they'll message me on Messenger. This guy was supposed to meet on this day, but all he has done is he has arranged the date. We're meeting at this time. And he has said we're going to meet at this place. But he has not texted that. That was Wednesday. We're meeting Saturday. And he has not texted since then.
Yeah,
so
we
I'm
don't
like,
need to.
I'm like, because he
We're
has
men.
nothing to say. Because the guy has nothing to say, he is shitting himself practicing in front of the mirror what he's going to say when he meets you.
We've got nothing else on our mind. We haven't met you yet. It's the first time. It's like,
Exactly.
okay, we're meeting on Saturday. Oh, okay, so I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. How am I going to say hi? And we're preparing things. We've got nothing else. We don't need to think about anything else apart. Even sometimes if we don't have to think, it's like, I've texted you on Wednesday. I'm meeting you on Saturday. I've got nothing more to add. I don't want to flirt with you now because I still haven't met you. I don't know if I
Because I
want
have
flirt
to
with
be
you
in
or
good
not.
books with you.
But I'm going to come in here because I think that if you're the kind of person that really wants to be sure that someone's going to be there, then text on the damn day and say, I'm just confirming we're meeting later.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
all
he
you do.
does
You take
text
some
just
accountability
before the
for that.
night, Shireen. And the guy texts before the night to say, just to make sure everything is all set, the plans are still going.
Right.
And then the girl will be texting, oh, Nomsa, he has texted. I'm like, what do you think? What did you think he was going to do? If he's going to go, he's going to go. But at the moment, there's nothing to say. So I like this topic because I have had loads of experience. People sending me messages. They're like, Nomsa, they translate messages in so many ways. I'm like, read what has been said. Nothing else that has been said. Just focus on that, not something else. And mostly it happens a lot in dating where people lose confidence or they're like, is he serious? Is he gonna show up? I'm like, if he says he's gonna show up, go on a date, but he's not called me or to have a chat. What is there to chat?
Most cases, on top of that,
you haven't formed a relationship yet.
Exactly. And most cases, men won't ghost the women. It's the other side. It's women that ghost men. Like a man says, I'm coming, he will come no matter what. I'm talking 90% of the cases. It's very rare that a guy ghosts a woman unless they get to know each other and then something else happens. But on a first date, a guy will go on a first date.
Generally, yes. Yeah.
And what I'm hearing here, it is about the interpretation
Yeah.
that happens, or there's the fact that what the message says, and it's like trying to look into it and what are they saying, and it's going through that. The person that's reading it is going through their own filters and their own experiences and putting an interpretation on it rather than just taking it as it is, because until you actually get to know somebody, you don't know anything else. So just look, you know, what the word's saying. You can always just text back and say, could you just clarify, or, you know, is that what you mean? I mean, a quick question back doesn't hurt.
It hurts the ego.
Is it really?
You know, if someone is unconfident and anxious, then they're going to misread.
Yeah.
Right. And because of their anxiety, they don't remember half the time. So they're reading and reading and reading and misreading time and time again. And so that anxiety is the issue. So the most important thing at that point is to say, okay, just take that breath, right? Just take that breath. Let's just read it one word at a time so that those words enter you. You hear them, you see them, you read them. And then give yourself a moment to say, what does this text actually mean? You know, have they said they're coming? Yes, tick. So there could be a tick box that they may need. And maybe that is something we need in the dating. What's the tick box? If you've got an anxious client, what do you think? What are the things that you have to reiterate or have them have a checklist for? I think that that's really important. And I also think there's something important about how do you create the contracts within texting, like in any communication, which we all mess up on a lot, is about that contract. When you're starting to text someone, it's really about how you're going to set the tone for your texts, right? And what are your negotiables and non-negotiables? And I think that that's a really clear thing that needs to have happen, because when someone's going into a dating situation, they are so anxious and they so want to have someone that's going to love them. They so want this that they often can lose themselves. And they get into these kind of binds where they haven't set the contracts right. Yeah. So it's really useful for anyone who's going through dating is that they're doing some sort of self-management stuff before they actually read a text. Really key, so that you can't misinterpret what someone is actually saying.
And then that's what I like. I mean, that's one of the points that I wanted to talk about, as you mentioned, both of you. It's that interpretation. Since we don't have tonality when we're texting, we've got a great tool that helps with that tonality, which are emojis. Set an emoji here and there and punctuation. So people text without punctuation anymore. And like, how am I supposed to read this? I was like, this is how you're supposed to read this. Okay, but I don't know. Are you excited? Are you upset? Is it a question? Put something there. So to interact with a text, and especially in the first beginnings of texting and dating, it's important to set these, like you were saying, showing these bars and these things that help us. Punctuation, emojis, put a smiley here, put an excited smile emoji, put 3 question marks and fanfares and like whatever you want, you know. I forgot the word now. Confettis, just to clarify what is meant by a message. If you're anxious, say that there's an emoji with a guy going, okay, like this. And then you can just between a bit excited and anxious at the same time, just so that they have a sense of the feelings and the emotions that you are going through, so that the other person that feels that or is there or almost there understands that, okay, so I'm not alone here. We're going through this together. So it's a good sign usually.
Yeah.
And I love that you said about using the emojis. It just adds in that bit of tone, because there is no tone and there's no
exactly
feeling or anything. And so putting those in just gives that feeling. But you could also use phrases that indicate tone. You know, I'm saying this with love, or I'm not upset. I'm just wanting to clarify something. So you actually put that in there. You can use the words to explain it. So somebody gets the tone, gets the picture.
Yeah.
And so that is important, because that is what's missing in text. As you say, Kamal, punctuation has completely gone out of the board.
Exactly.
And I've read text and I've had to read it, and then actually in my head I've had to put some punctuation in and read it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what they mean. It's like, oh my God, it really does my head in. And actually that's where, if that happens sometimes, if you can just go, oh, I can't be bothered. I can't be bothered. And then you miss the communication. And so that's where it's important to be able to make sure you get your communication over in such a way that somebody understands what you're saying or what you're wanting to get over to them. Because it is so easy just to say, oh, I can't read this right now. Or I don't get it. Switch off. And then all of a sudden there is a distance that's created. There's no reply comes back, because like, well, what do you say? I'll ignore it. So then interpretation happens because it's being ignored, or you're not getting back quick enough. And I think sometimes that's also something that gets in the way, is we expect instant replies, because in this sort of fast-paced world, it's like, why aren't they replying straight away? Well, maybe they put the phone down and walked away. You know, they got other things to do.
Person that doesn't walk around with their phone all the time.
Yes. And so it's having that patience. Okay, they haven't replied straight away. There's other things to do. And it's allowing yourself that space as well, because sometimes you get pressured into, oh, I've got to reply straight away, and then it doesn't really come out right. Breathe, put the phone down, go for a walk, go and, do something else, get a drink of water, then come back, read it again, and then what is it you really want to say? Because sometimes there can be that reaction to reply straight away, and then that really comes out wrong, because the words, there is an energy that comes through with the words, and the way you put words brings that energy. So sometimes it's maybe just giving yourself a bit of time, draft a response, go away, come back and read it, and then go, oh yeah, no, don't think it's quite that way. And then you find yourself in a responsive way of writing rather than in a reactive way of writing, and the whole energy shifts and changes. So yeah, it is, and maybe it's also communicating that to somebody and saying, well, I'm not ignoring, I'm just needing a bit of time to reply, so they know where they stand. And that's all it takes. It's not a case of not wanting to get back to you, but communication is important, and letting people know how you're feeling or what's so just helps them to think, oh, okay, so I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I'm busy now. Just little things like that help. Just a couple of words. Yeah. So,
I think Kamal, Carol Ann chose this topic because I've been communicating with them, but I've learned it from Kamal that when you want something, just ask for it. And it depends with that person how they translate. Because Kamal, when Kamal wants something, he just comes to me and say, Nomsa, can we do this? He doesn't go to the bush or anything, or he just says, can I have this, or can we do this? It means he's direct. That's why he's asking. So I've learned to actually, because before I used to think and say, oh, if I reply like this, somebody is not going to translate. But I realize sometimes you have to, because when I was communicating with these guys, I'm like, requesting something, they instead of focusing on that thing, Nomsa wants water, and they're going to orange juice. If I need to go to Sainsbury's, I need to go Tesco's. From Tesco's, Waitrose, but Waitrose is expensive. So they go that way. I'm like, how do you go that way? Because me, I just ask for this. But then I'm realizing with my clients, that's what my clients do. Honestly, you will be surprised that when it comes to dating industry, I don't know how many people that actually destroy their chances of meeting people just by misreading what that person is saying. If somebody says I'm busy, it means they're busy.
Mm.
But they will get back to you. I had this guy that got my number from my website. So he was calling me the other day, declaring his love for me. So at first, I thought he was joking. Honestly, I thought he was joking at first.
Mm.
But then as we were talking, I'm realizing he's actually not joking. He's very, very serious.
Mm.
So, so then I was like, so you are not joking. But then I had to remember, because the phone came through my mobile. So I thought he must have found my mobile with somebody that I know. But then I reminded myself, if the office don't pick the phone goes directly to my mobile. If it rings for almost like over and over, it will just redirect itself. So I was like, why? I was like, oh, he got my number from the website. So I had to ask. I was like, so you got my number from the website? And he was like, yeah, I did. And I was like, what makes you that you want to, you actually like me? And he was like, you can't blame me for when I like somebody, I have to tell them that I like them. So I realized that the guy is actually very, very serious, but I was able to talk to him nicely without judging him and without like, and then I realized actually, and the guy is a millionaire when I was talking to him. And I was like, how do you actually struggle to find love if you have that? Like he was not, I'm not struggling. I came across your website. So now I'm declaring my love for you. If you are in a relationship, but that's okay. But I'm going to leave knowing that I've said what I needed to say. So I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, but some people don't say things that they want to say because they are afraid. I think that's what I'm trying to say. And sometimes they are afraid of being judged. But if somebody has negativity, they will judge, but it does not mean they are wrong. I've texted my family, sometimes they misread the messages. Like I was arranging somebody to go in. Somebody said, I'm going to see mom. So I was like, okay. So I was like, well, how do I tell these people that they have a visitor coming and he wants a surprise? So I have to come and make up stories and stuff, but I'm not good at making up stories. Honestly, I'm not good at making up stories. My mom just sees through me and she's like, you are telling pokies. I'm like, no, I'm not. And then it means they want to get the truth. But sometimes some people, like I was hiding the person that is come because I wanted them, because they wanted to keep a surprise and everyone go upset that why am I keeping a surprise? I was like, but it's not my place. If somebody wants to keep a surprise, it has to be a surprise. If they say they want you guys to know, you will know. But sometimes the people interpret things. So Carol Ann, you chose this topic and Kamau and Sharon, how do you do moving forward? Like if there are audience that are watching right now and they have these people like misunderstandings with text, how do you move forward in solving this toxic text if somebody interprets it the wrong way?
Well, we've spoken a bit about the interpretation and adding some joy to the messages, like emojis and in like when we started chatting on MRC and all of these chat things, we used to put asterisks and put like the voice of Tyson or the voice of a baby or a voice of I don't know what, right, between asterisks, and that's how we used to communicate that. do it in this voice, right? You had imagination and stuff like that. We could still do it, obviously. Then we spoke about balancing, in a sense, our communication style, where we spoke about adding a little bit of understanding, reading just what is there and not through things. And if you don't understand, ask again. There's nothing that will happen. You say, I'm sorry, I didn't understand this message. Or if you don't want to seem dumb, I say, okay, with a small laugh, you say, haha, okay, so I have two outcomes to this message. One, I understood it this way. The second one is this one. Which one did he mean? Right. And it's just a clarification of what is happening in the conversation itself. That is one of the most important things to move forward, especially in starting relationships at the beginning, in the first, second, third date and flirtation level. You're still gauging each other. You're still gauging how they respond to jokes, how they respond to certain compliments or flirtatious text, or sarcasm or humor or whatever it is. You're still gauging everything to understand, okay, do we match? Do we not match? Does this person misunderstand me all the time? What do I want out of this relationship? So there's a lot of things to bear in mind here. I'm going to add mindful response, like you said, Caroline, right? They've in the business, when you're in the business world, when you receive an angry email or an email that angers you, they usually tell you don't respond straight away. Just let it be, go away, do something else, come after a couple of hours, even the next day, and then respond, because you would have settled your emotions. And that's the point that was Caroline was making when, okay, you got a text, you want to avoid being reactive to the message and rather have an intentional response, right? An intentional response means you are thoughtful. You aim to foster connection, clarity, support. And when you're reactive, which is the toxic version of the texting, you create you create impulsivity. Right. This is why they put all these sweets and their last minute buys at the cashier in all the stores, because people get, I don't want this. No, you don't want it. You don't want it. You don't need it. You're just impulsive there because they're playing on your emotions. And you don't want to be played on your emotions by yourself, not by the text itself. So yeah, intentional versus reactive texting. You don't want to be guilt tripping, obviously, in your reaction. You don't want to play on another person's emotions. You still have to maintain that level of trust and boundary and understanding that the other person doesn't necessarily mean you any harm. They don't necessarily want to like escalate things. They don't want to gaslight you. Not everybody has these intentions. These are you're mirroring your own personal feelings and emotions because you're scared, because you're anxious, because you don't know what you're doing. You don't know how long you've been you haven't been in a relationship. These are unnecessary. I'm going to call them unnecessary emotions that are a waste of energy and a waste of time. Like we said at the start, take the message, read it. I don't get it. Can you please send me again? You were talking about how Nomsa, you've changed the way you messaged us. A long time ago, when you used to message, you would send me, I don't know, a message, like either a text or a video or an audio, like 3 minutes, and I would have to go like, what do you want? And then I would text you back. Remember, I was like, what do you want, Nomsa? One sentence. And then you go like this. I would say, okay, right? Because I need to understand what's happening. There are too many. Of course, me, it's extra because I've got ADHD, but there would be too many factors in a message, and that confuses me, right? Not everybody is the same way. Being direct helps, and I'm chatting too much, but like we're getting to these things where it's important to think about the message we want to convey, the message that we received, how we want to support the other person, how we want to create this bond that we're working on. And I think that's a great place to start to move forward.
Yeah.
I don't send no messages because I realize you guys don't take me serious.
No, but now with me, you're different. Now you say, come on, can you do this? I say, yes, no.
Yeah, I've learned that is you. That one, like you and Claudia, Carol Anne, she's my advisor. If I want to something, I sit her down and ask for advice. She gives me advice. I've learned you guys how as an individual. So I come to you. This one, if I need to writing or if I want to do like anything to do with the structures of things, I go to Shireen. So I've learned instead of me putting message in one place, I go to Shireen. What I need, I say, Shireen, may I please have this? She'll get it. If she's available, she gets it ready. With Kamau, I've read I've learned his attitude. Kamau is a doer. I just say, Kamau, can you please, let's do this. Can we do it? I'm not available today, but I will be ready for you tomorrow. That's what he does. With Grant, Grant asks too many questions.
Okay, again.
With Grant, I have to be prepared to actually ask too many questions because he likes to understand really, really well in order for him to direct me to the.
He wants to give you the right answer, and to give you the right answer, he can't answer a vague request.
Yes. So if I go to Grant, I have to go on Zoom. If I need Grant, I need to go on Zoom. No text. So I've learned as you individual. Grant is Zoom. Amanda is after Zoom where I speak to her. Then she gives me the answer straight away. So I've had to learn it. That's why I don't bother putting messages. I've learned that I need to speak to you guys as an individual. Kamau, I send a voice message and say, Kamau, do this. This needs to be done. It'll be like, okay, sure. And Shireen is Zoom because Shireen, she's like, I don't know what she's doing here, but she should be a lecturer at the university.
It's coming.
Honestly, sometimes I wonder why she's doing it, goes to talk shows, or why is she a coach? Honestly, her job is lecturing because all she does is she wants the words like Carol and everything has to be in the right place. It has to, when you say things make sense to her, it does not make sense. And she comes back and she's written as a lecturer. I'm like, why are you in the wrong place? So that's the reason, Kamau, I don't send audios or messages because I have learned to you individual. With Carol Anne, if I need to speak to her, is after Zoom. She's a Zoom person as well. No audio or no message. Messages, it means if I'm asking simple things. Because Carol Anne is going to be like, what made this happen? So I have to think about the answer.
So she goes into analysis.
Yes, what have you contributed in that thing? But she can't answer me on the text that come out.
The thing is, what I'm hearing here, this has taken nearly 5 years for you to get to this point. It takes time and commitment to the relationship. And to people saying, we're going to stay and we're going to work through this. And that's what's happened. And that's why there's the core of us that are still here, because we've made it work.
Yeah.
And we now understand each other and how each other communicates. And that's what's important, is to really get, clear on, are you committed to this relationship within just a partnership one-on-one, or if it is a group, and what is it about? But also know it takes time to get to know each other and how each person communicates. And when they communicate in the way they do, that's how they do it. And you just need to have that communication to say, this doesn't work for me. And like Noms has now learned, and we've all learned, and yes, your whole communication style has changed with this nonsense over the years.
He misses my
it was
text.
bumpy in the beginning, very bumpy. And what I'm now seeing in Dating Diamonds is that bumpiness that we had in the beginning here in Onkosi talk shows. And it's like, okay, let's ask, is everybody committed to actually being in the vision and finding a way to communicate and how each person responds, or what it is they need, each person's needs, and working with that rather than it being so reactionary and causing rifts and discomfort and disgruntledness. You know, but it comes down to commitment to making it work. And that is the bottom line. And really getting clear on what the communication is. And get clear on what you want out of the relationship. That was a key one. I can't remember who said that now, but made a note on there. What is it you want out of this relationship? And what is the best way to communicate?
Yeah.
And is it texting? Because voice notes can add another dimension to it and bring in that tone and everything, but also it's still, somebody can listen to it and still have it through their own filter and hear it differently. But sometimes a lot of voice notes, it gets a bit, I just can't got time to listen to all of that.
And then they become too long sometimes.
Miss,
I'm like,
you miss the important message, you know, and then it's like, well, you didn't tell me. Well, yes, I did. It was in the voice note.
Yeah.
So again, it's it's being able to be succinct.
There's a thing that with that voice message is that if you've got it written in text, you know you've got it and you can look back on it and you can reflect on it. If it's a voice message, the message just disappears. It's there for that moment in time and it's done. So you have to remember. I really like to be able to go back over a text and see it. I really like that evidence to be there. I know, because a lot of people come up with shit. I want to know what they've said, right? So I'm quite happy to say, okay, on this text, this is what it read. Don't give me the voice message because I won't know which one is, because it doesn't give you any kind of information on that voice message. You don't have a little thing, oh, it's about this. Nobody does that. They don't say voice message, okay, voice message about this, and just put a line underneath about this.
Yeah.
Don't need to go much more, because what happens when you scroll through your texts, which bloody voice message is it? You know, seriously, for God's sake. But I mean, I love Karen. That's absolutely right. It's really about the commitment to what it is that you want. And so anyone that's going in a new relationship, you're going to have to commit to being different from where you were before. So it's about, you know, most of the time in relationships that are broken up or we're in new ones for whatever reason is because of our past patterns, right? So we need to be very clear about what's the new way of being that we're going to be in this new relationship. And yes, we have to, if we want to commit to that, we want to commit to having a new relationship, no matter what, whoever it is, we need to find that flexibility to be able to know that people have different forms of communication, different preferences, and to be able to allow ourselves to navigate that. So that we can be in that simpatico that we need to be. I mean, certainly I know my partner, sometimes he'll text, sometimes he won't text, and sometimes those texts are too short. And I will then immediately say, too short. Fill it out a bit more.
Yeah.
He'll come back, oh, right.
But that's the communication, and that's okay, because then he knows where he stands. It's right, I'll fill it out a bit more. And that's all right. It's not meant as a, oh, you know, you haven't given me enough information, you're all wrong. There's no wrong making. It's just a simple fill it out. Right. You know, and it's what you were saying earlier about setting the boundaries, knowing that what was it, the contract, really, how you can communicate to each other. So
and that's no different from in a normal relationship, isn't it? You need to have those contracts that are there. Because invariably
there's what I'm hearing, there's like an unwritten contract there that he's understood what you're saying. He knows, she means I need to fill out, and that's okay. You know, he hasn't made it wrong in any way or made him feel wrong or you wrong. It's just he understands. And and again, that takes time, doesn't it, to sort of get to that knowing and or even sharing or talking about it. Well, this is what my needs are. And once you explain to somebody what your needs are, what you need, that's again half the battle. But you need to understand yourself.
Exactly.
And it brings to mind somebody who I met her 5 years ago now. And when we said, oh, we'll keep in touch, she said, WhatsApp only. I don't do anything else. And she went, I won't respond to anything else. And it's WhatsApp only, and she will respond, So it is being clear. How do you like people to message to you, and what's the word? Avenue, vehicle, I can't think of the word, but whatever it is. And some people, it's been just text message, just a text message, not a WhatsApp text message, a phone text message. So, oh God, I don't do those very often, but that's how that I think I've done a Facebook message, I've done a text message, I've done a WhatsApp message, and the messages I get most response from are the phone text messages. So that's what they look at. So again, it is understanding each person. But when you're in a group and in a family as well, it is everybody's different, and it's understanding and allowing for those differences to show up and be respected and not made wrong.
Yeah, Carol, and you're right, because with me, I was like, okay, these guys, when I send messages or text, don't take me serious. But what now I needed to know, I needed to learn was you guys are these amazing people. You have different personalities, different talents. So I started now to analyze, because when you truly accept somebody in your heart, now you need to get to know that person. So I started like listening when you guys speak. Now I analyze everything. So I was like, oh, this one is this one is this. So now I don't although Kamau misses my text messages.
No, I don't.
So now I don't. If I need something, I just go, okay, I'm going to speak to Carol Ann with this. If I need some advice, I don't ask for advice in the group. I'll speak to Carol Ann, or I speak to Kamau as the individual, because I know Kamau, he's just somebody that is straightforward. When you want something, or you want him to do something, he just goes on, it's okay, show them, sir. Time, let me check my diary, I'll do it. And I know this one, okay, like I said, Grant needs to make sure I have 1 hour to spare if I need his help. Honestly, he's in the wrong place as well. He should be a lecturer too, but he's a business coach. So that's what he does. So it's just learning you guys as the individual. And that's what I've been able to do with people, just learning them individual. But I've learned also with Ngozi talk shows, there's the other coaches that were coming and going. And then Amanda could see and Carol Ann bringing people. And I was like, there's these people, this group that came here this time, and these people, they're like my family. So I said to Amanda, I don't think I really need any guest speakers. And she was like, why? And I was like, I think I've already have guest speakers. I've already have speakers. I think I like to stick to what I have. If I'm not having anyone, like Mondays, I'll speak on my own until Kamau decide to come and join me. Or if I don't have this, it's just realizing that sometimes you got to accept what you have, because that authenticity, and people that are authentic, they don't come very long. And just, you guys know that I appreciate you very much. That's why you hang around anyway. We're just this bunch of family, but it takes time to build that relationship. It takes time. Like Kamau, I like when you said you text your son. That's how my dad used to treat me, like communicate and treating me like a normal person. Although sometimes I look back now and I'm like, what the heck was that man thinking? And my mom and my grandparents, because sometimes they'll spend time explaining and talking to me things. I'm 9 years old and they're talking to me about marriage, and I'm like, what did I really know about
Okay, that's a
marriage?
little bit early.
The last thing I want to be thinking about when I want to go and be doing that.
But
Oh no, they're telling me their stories about how they got married. So I'm like, what was they thinking? And actually, those stories, I cherish them even today
Yeah.
because, like, it's true love. It made me realize it's true love.
Mm.
Mm.
And there's a
So,
lovely quote I've got here. It said, "Words are seeds. They can either blossom into love or grow into chaos." And your parents were just sowing you some seeds of what's possible. You know, beautiful. I love that. And does it mean that you have to get married and have that? But it's sowing the seeds of
yeah,
what's possible.
my mom
Yeah.
would take me to town. She'll be like, you see that one there that is standing there? He's a married type. He's just finished work. He's waiting. He's going to the car park to go home. You see that one there? He's just a player. He's waiting for nice women coming out from the supermarket looking for the nice bums and playing. I'm like, Mom, and he was like, yep, yep. So you got to know who comes to you and how they come to you. And she was right.
You know, Caroline, you just mentioned this quote, and you were talking about seeds, and I like it, but that made me remember another one by what's his Rudyard Kipling, and if my words are correct, he said, "Words are, of course, the most powerful drug used by mankind."
Yes,
Yeah, words are
absolutely.
powerful.
Mm.
Well, they
Yeah.
said the pen is mightier than the sword.
All right.
Because it can go everywhere. With a
Yes.
sword, you can only cut a certain amount of people or a certain amount of strokes, but the
Mm.
word can go everywhere.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that's why we need to be really mindful of our communication, mindful in how we're communicating and mindful of how we receive it. So I think this is a really important aspect of understanding that
Yeah.
every form of communication has good and bad bits in it. So, for example, we're talking on Zoom. Of course, we're not actually talking in the same room, so we're not getting that kind of different, and we'd get a different energy, right?
Mm.
If we're on text, there's so much we lose out of. So we have to be a bit more mindful of this bit that's missing.
Yeah.
So that we can have better communication. So what do I need to do? What are the bits that are missing? When you have a telephone conversation, you can't see someone. So you have to be mindful that you can't see them. So you may have to ask questions that are in relation to not being able to see that. And I think this is something all of us need to develop even more in skills, right?
Right.
To recognize that all these modalities have a form that are going to be missing something.
Yeah.
I mean, I know as a psychotherapist, is they want a lot of our coaching to also be in person, because there's this belief that you can't see, that you can't do things in the same way. And I obviously think that, no, I think you can do just as good therapy inside a room and outside, but as long as you're mindful of these bits that are missing, so that you pay more attention to those. So for me, part of in Zoom is really looking at people and looking at their facial features and looking at they shift and change, and looking at gestures a lot. So for me, those are the key things I'm going to be paying. I pay more attention to, and the tonality of someone's voice, particularly. So I think if you learn that, it's important. So as for anyone that wants to practice in their in their different forms of skill, communicating, texting, really be mindful that texting loses a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And there's another quote here. It's, in texting, clarity is kindness. Ambiguity invites misunderstanding.
Yeah.
You know, it's that simple. Yeah. So, you know, be kind.
Be kind. Yeah.
Get clear and yeah.
Well,
But also,
Sorry.
No, go on.
It's kind of like if we were talking PQ, it would be the data stream, right? And the emotional stream is missing. So we've got to bring in the emotion, which you said, clarity allows us, our emotions to settle.
Yeah.
Right. So that's so important. If we brings clarity, we can handle our emotions so much more.
And it's that slowing down. It's like, in a world of quick messages, slow down to ensure you're truly heard.
Yes.
So it is that being mindful. It is that slowing down. Just stop, breathe, think. Yeah.
I like that. I think from my end, I'll just say one thing for the audience to remember while texting, since we're talking about mindfulness, breathing, and consideration, is just consider your own texting habits with friends, with family, with acquaintances, and consider the impact of the words that you use, especially if you care about them. And one thing that helps with that mindfulness, with that respect, with being thoughtful through that whole process, is to ask yourself, am I using texting, or am I texting this person to build up this relationship, or do I want to tear down this relationship? So I think this is a good question to start before you answer someone. And when you get that answer, clear communication, empathy, respect. These are obviously keys to a good and healthy relationship, whether it's face-to-face or even through texting and written messages. But if you have those under consideration, then it will be all right.
That's lovely. I totally agree with you there, Kamal. And something I just like to leave our listeners with is, if you find that things are getting a little bit sticky and there's a lot of emotion going on and tension, Shireen, you mentioned about self-management earlier, right at the beginning, and that's something I'd like to reiterate here. It's do the inner work. What is going on inside you? What has you respond or react in that way? So that you can get clear on that first before you then respond and reply. Because your reply will be completely different, because you'll come from a different perspective. I've done that before. I've read a message from somebody and I've gone like this, and then I've done some work on myself and I've read it again and all the charge has gone, and I'm going, oh, and I've been able to properly read it, because there was something in there that just had me go somewhere with it, and completely react. And if I'd replied in that moment, it would have gone completely awry. But because I took the time to work on how I felt and how it made me feel in that moment and where I'd gone, sort of totally reactionary in my thoughts, I was able to calm down and come from a completely different perspective, reread it and go, oh, got it. And then replied. And you can hear the difference in my tone and being. So do that inner work. It's worth it, because it will strengthen that relationship rather than pushing it further apart. Yeah. So
yeah, and also I think taking time to know that person as well, I think it is very, very important, because like I've noticed with the Coach Foundation, I don't have problems with the size team, but when I speak to other coaches that are doing the same thing that I'm doing, they have problems. But I'm like, do you actually communicate and ask questions? Because everything is all about asking questions, or if there's something you don't understand, and going back and ask. And I hear different response, but for me, it took me a long time to truly like make an effort to actually, honestly, to make an effort about people and just say, instead of thinking this as a business, I'm just gonna let it like treat them as my family, true family. And when they do something nice, I praise them and I let them know how I'm feeling. Or like when we were building my website, I could see that there's too many things that needed to be done. So I said to Alex, could I please have a sit down with the web designer? But some coaches are having problem because they were not able to think and do that. And this woman would come and sit there, would be like sitting for 1 hour and telling her what I need. And then it should go back and then come back again to me. And then it will sit there. But you could see like the anxiety when she's sitting. Is she going to like it? Is she going to like it? And then that's how you develop a good relationship. But I had to learn that the hard way. By Carol Ann. She goes, okay, Nomza, when you pray to God, the words you say, you got to watch them how they come. Because I used to pray not to, and then forget what I've asked God to do. When God brings things in a different way, and then I get confused. And she's like, no, why you've asked him, go back to the words what you said. What is happening? Go back and see what party have you contributed for that person to feel this way. So I became to do that and paying attention. And that's where everything changed. It's like, what part? I'm like, what part? What do you mean I contributed?
Yeah,
So
what part?
yeah.
Gotta be accountable.
And then I read somebody's post and said what people don't understand is you could post something on Facebook and then somebody might read it and it's so beautiful and they're like, why has she got this life that I don't have? And she was like, just by putting that picture, you have contributed to somebody feeling uncomfortable. So I was like, oh, so that's what Carol Ann means.
Well, I mean, I think there are two things on that, definitely. I mean, putting something out there, yes, it opens the world and it puts a thing there, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't, and yet you actively contributed to their discomfort. What you've done is open the doorway for them to undo that discomfort, right? So by actually putting that there, you've actually helped them on some level. If they're willing to recognize their own discomfort, right?
But I think it was also the fact that you're putting out prayers, and they were being answered in a way that wasn't being recognized, and I think that's important.
Yeah. And God doesn't always give us the answer like, hey, this way.
Exactly.
You carry on, you go back and you ask again and you ask again, and eventually you get, just damn, I'll do this. Full stop.
Yeah.
But it sometimes takes a bit of time, right?
Yeah.
Because it's the way that prayers are answered are never exactly, very seldom do we get that instant.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone, it's 11 minutes past 2. Guys, if you're watching us from YouTube, please subscribe to our channel. If you're watching us from Facebook, please do share our Facebook or even YouTube videos. Please do share. And we have a Facebook group, Unique Billionaire Mindset and Ghost Talk Shows. And the website is www.hseia.coach. Please do go to our website. Relationship, sign up. Coaching is a different page. Find your own voice, lead from within. If you're watching us from LinkedIn, please do share our video and connect with us through the website. God bless everyone and live with grace.